Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be doing more July jobs. I had some marigolds to plant out. I needed to sow some more seeds. I was taking cuttings. I needed to prune tomatoes and roses, and I had several other jobs. The previous day I'd taken some lavender cuttings for the very first time. The details are in a video that I posted already about free plants. The cuttings have to come from a non-flowering stem, and then you just add them to compost and make sure that you cover them to make it humid. Apparently they prefer humid temperatures, and once you do that, you then wait 6 to 8 weeks and roots should form. I said in that video that I plan to just keep checking them and watering as required and making sure that they don't dry out. I left the cuttings on my potting bench because that is in part shade, because putting it in the vegetable garden, it's very hot. It gets full sun. I thought that might be too hot as the cuttings have plastic over them. I didn't want them to roast. So yes, I'll keep you updated on how they go. I had some marigolds that I needed to plant out. There were some that I'd kept back when I planted this bed in the beginning. The reason I'd kept them back is because I've got slugs and snails, and they're very good at eating really young seedlings. But when you grow out seedlings that are a bit bigger, they usually fare better against slugs and snails. So I'd kept some back, and the slugs and snails had actually freed up a space in the garden by eating some kale and some marigolds. So there you go. I wanted to put those marigolds there. Marigolds and tomatoes are perfect companion plants. Marigolds are said to repel things like aphids and whiteflies, so they go really well together. I had 3 marigolds in the container. Interestingly enough, the marigold on the right that's in the ground and the ones in the container, I actually sowed them on the same day. Marigolds, like tomatoes, like the sun, they like free draining soil, and like tomatoes, you can actually plant marigolds deeper than they were in their container. So as you can see there, they may have looked a bit leggy while they were in that little pot, but now you can see that I've put them a bit deeper. After watering, I went to plant the second one. The goal was to plant all 3 in this raised bed. So after watering and placing the plant in there, I then covered it up and then added a bit more water just to settle it in place. I took the third one and I also planted that on the other side of the bed. So there they are, all three of them, nicely tucked in. You can also see the other marigolds that I planted on the same day. I planted that middle one. So these ones were doing okay. This tall one, I had to shimmy it a bit to the right because it was under the shade of the dahlia. So I moved it a little bit and it seems to be doing well. The next job was to tie the tomatoes to the bamboo stakes as well as to remove the side shoots. I do this to control the direction in which the tomatoes are growing and to ensure that I only have one stem. If you let the side shoots grow, you end up getting more fruit indeed, but the plants will go everywhere and they're not that easy to manage. Because I have 5 tomato plants in this bed, if I let all the side shoots go, I'll end up with the bed overcrowded. All the tomatoes in this bed are indeterminate tomatoes, which means they carry on growing until the frost. They are different from bush varieties which grow to a certain height and then they have all their fruit within a few weeks. These ones will carry on growing and I'll carry on having fruits. Interestingly enough, the tomato in the middle, I somehow missed one of the side shoots, so actually it's got 2 stems growing, but because it's in the middle, I might be able to manage it. The next job was super satisfying. It was really just a matter of tidying up my 4 hostas. Hostas do this throughout the year. Some of their leaves will dry out or something might eat a leaf and then it just looks a bit rough. So every now and then it's just good to tidy them up so that they look a bit better. The hostas are also blooming, so oh, the scent, it was such a pleasant job to do. When I'm tidying up the leaves, I also check for weeds because sometimes there'll be weeds in the containers. So if there are any weeds, I just pull those up as well. July is also a good month to prepare garlic for storage in the house. So my garlic had been curing since I harvested it back in June. So now you can see that the roots are dry, the stems are dry. I could potentially leave it in the shed, but I prefer storing it in the house. So it means I have to cut off the roots, cut off the stems, and take it indoors. I was struggling with my pruners during this job. They were sticking. So again, I think that's another July job. I need to get my pruners sorted. And there you go, all done, all ready to go into the house for storing. So the next job was pruning the rows, and you can see that there were a couple of branches that were broken. I think it was due to the wind. I don't know if you can see, but during this day it was quite windy. It had been quite windy most of the day. So I think that is what was causing the branches to break. So I had a couple of branches to cut away and the usual deadheading. Roses are high maintenance, I think. You know what? Having said that, I've got one of my neighbors who do not interfere with their rose plant. They just leave their rose plant, and it's got some of the best roses in the neighborhood. So I don't know. I might need to take it back. I think maybe I make my rose high maintenance by deadheading it. But as I said, I know of some people who just leave their rose bush and it's absolutely spectacular. I must say though, it's been there for many, many years, so I would think that might actually contribute to it. This rose has been blooming since May, so every day I've got scented roses. It's absolutely stunning. I then moved on to sowing some climbing beans and some bush beans. Part of the reason I sowed them is because I did sow all of these earlier in the season, but I mentioned I struggled a lot with my seeds this year, and most of the things that I grow in my garden, I grow them from seed, particularly the vegetables. So I looked on the packets and they were saying that I could actually sow them in July. I did a tray of climbing beans and I did a tray of bush beans, and then I did another tray of lettuce because my lettuce, I've been harvesting it since I think June, and it's been doing very well, but it's time to put a fresh crop in. I should have actually sowed the lettuce a bit earlier, and the beans, to be honest, but the lettuce in particular, I should have sowed it a bit earlier so that I can do succession planting. Succession planting is good because you always have the next crop going, ready to go in when the other crop finishes. For lettuce, I could barely see the seeds, and because it was so windy, it was a real mission to sow them, but I think I ended up sowing some. And then I water carefully, making sure that I don't really dislodge anything. I decided to put the seeds in my cold frame so that they will be protected from anything that might dig, any animals that might dig. Also, I thought the extra heat might be beneficial to them germinating a bit quicker. I'll keep you updated on how they do. Those were my July gardening jobs. Well, part 2 of my July gardening jobs. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Take care.